We're late to the party here, but I didn't want to miss this one. A few weeks ago, Scott released a 5.9 kilogram disc brake bike with a new super light frame set. Does it still ride nicely? Welcome to First Look, the series where we check out new and interesting bits of bike tech and give you the rundown on the things that matter. Let's get into it. The bike I have here is a Scott Addict RC30. For clarity, we approached Scott and asked to borrow this bike. This is not a paid video, this is not being sponsored by Scott, and it's being sent back to Scott at the end of this video. Do I want to say Scott a few more times? It's a full carbon, semi-aero frame with a carbon fork, synchronous aluminium bar and stem, the new SP R101-CF proprietary seat post. What a mouthful. The wheel set is also from Synchros, Scott's sister brand, 40mm deep and carbon. Mounted to those are some 30mm Schwalbe 1 TLE tyres, although this frame has clearance up to 34mm, a trend we're seeing amongst quite a few other brands in this performance category. Scott makes some big claims about the ultimate: 600 grams for a raw medium-sized frame and 270 grams for the fork. That's shaving a total of 215 grams from the previous Addict RC Ultimate frame set. Even more if you're looking at the full frame kit, so handlebars, through axles, bits and bobs. But how much does our build weigh? 7.6 kilograms, without pedals, without bottle cage, without Garmin, but with a Garmin mount. For a 105 bike with alloy finishing kit, that's excellent. And to achieve it, they've made an effort to reduce the weight of almost every component. Their efforts clearly worked, because despite the top-end version of the frame being slightly heavier than the specialized ethos the whole bike once built up, is lighter. It's worth noting that there's two different types of frame layup. The HMX SL is only available as the Ultimate, and the HMX, which is what we have here, is 50 grams heavier for the frame set. The top three models, the Ultimate, Pro and 10, have a one-piece carbon bar, and the 20 and 30, you'll be getting an aluminium bar and stem.
I must apologise that all of the B-roll of this bike that I shot has kind of funky steerer tube stem situation going on. Normally, when you have cut the steerer to the correct length, it looks nice and neat like this. I'm borrowing this bike, so I wasn't going to go and cut the steerer. Therefore, it looks like when C-3PO is naked.
My parts are showing. My goodness.
This bike has tubeless Schwalbe 1 tyres. They are really supple. They feel great to ride, but I think I'm cursed and I'm never going to be able to ride Schwalbes or Schwalbes, whatever it is, without puncturing. I punctured 5 minutes into my first ride on this bike, and now there's tubeless worms sticking out. When I rode Schwalbes, the length of the USA, I punctured probably 30 times, and I'm just cursed.
Now, they've used an apparently unusual manufacturing technique, in the cycling industry at least, to reduce the amount of waste material inside the frame. Believe it or not, some carbon frames are quite messy on the inside, and there's excess material. This might seem completely ludicrous, but I suppose all of these things add up, and clearly, they've made a very light frame. But are you paying a price for it? At $4,999, yes. This goes straight into our remortgage your house category. And that's all right. There's always going to be bike brands pushing the limits of manufacturing and trying new types of technology. And the fact of the matter is, it does trickle down to lower priced bikes, which have never been better. And you'll see later on, the prices compared to other brands, they've done pretty well.
As you would expect from a $5,000 bike, it feels fantastic to ride. Does it have that superbike feeling? No. And I wouldn't expect it to. The things that really make a big difference in that superbike category are the one-piece bar and stems and wheel set. And here you have an expensive but not mega expensive wheel set. Like, they're carbon, they're light, but they're not super high-end. And then you've got an alloy bar and stem. So you don't get that feeling. Things you might want to upgrade at a later date if you've bought this model and you want to improve how it feels to ride. I expect the one-piece bar and stem also will be faster. In terms of aerodynamics, of course, very marginal, and not everyone's going to care about that kind of thing.
So who is this for? Scott's marketing says the all-new Addict RC is our lightest production race bike ever. Whether you're attacking steep climbs or sprinting for the finish line, every aspect of this bike was meticulously crafted with one thing in mind: leave everyone else in the dust. It's not very nice, is it? It's a performance bike for performance-focused riders and bike racers. Best suited, in my opinion, from someone who wants to ride as fast as possible from the bottom of a hill to the top of a hill, without compromising braking performance and aerodynamics, as some super light bikes definitely do. If I was really performance focused or maybe racing, I don't think I would sacrifice the benefit of a full aero bike. However, it's going to suit some people's riding needs. I'm thinking Strava segment hunters and people who are in the hill climb scene, where the race is literally from the bottom of a hill to the top. Or it might be for the person who lives up 6 flights of stairs and has to carry their bike up.
Just like the previous generation Addict RC, you can build almost the whole bike with a T25 Torx key. This time, instead of being hidden inside the through axle, where it used to be, it's now inside the bore of your handlebars, and it sticks in and then locks into place. It also has a 6mm Allen key on it, so you can do your through axles. It's a very nice feature to see. A thing that I didn't really care about the first time I saw it, but then riding a few more bikes that don't have it, you realise that it's quite handy. Other things to note in terms of livability: has a seat post battery. The little expander you do up to fasten the seat post doesn't fall inside the frame when you take the seat post out. Plus points. This model is internally routed through the frame, but of course you have a regular bar and stem. There's some little fiddly bits to hide the hydraulic hoses and the cables in the headset within the stem itself, but it's only in those top end models like the Ultimate and the RC Pro that you have more of a job replacing the hoses and changing headset bearings and stuff like that. Minus points in the livability section for a skinny 27.2mm steerer tube. Very unusual. It means you have to use their stem or find one that fits. A little bit annoying. I imagine they've done it to be able to route cables more easily through the headset and keep things light. I suppose it's less material.
Sizing. There's long bikes and there is long bikes. This one is the latter. It is extremely aggressive. The size range looks great at a glance, but if you look into the geometry table in more detail, you'll see that the smallest size, which is labelled 47 centimetres, has a reach of 379.4mm and a 74.5 degree seat angle. It's still quite a long bike, and smaller riders, especially women under average height, are going to struggle with these. Funnily enough, with the release of these bikes, they've ended their Contessa range, which was the range of bikes that was aimed specifically at women from Scott. Everything now is unisex, and it is a shame that the bikes don't go down small enough for quite a large proportion of riders. If you are a smaller rider and you need recommendations, then have a look at Canyon's bikes, have a look at Pinarello, and the new bikes that we discovered from Pearson, which go down really small sizes.
The size small bike comes with 38cm handlebars and 170mm cranks. Rejoice! Maybe the days of off-the-peg bikes all coming with 42cm handlebars are over. Looking at the geometry table, we can see that the handlebar widths, stem lengths and crank lengths all scale with the bike sizes, and to enough a degree that we can't moan about it. So the extra small comes with 36cm bars and 165mm cranks, and the extra large comes with 175mm cranks and 42cm bars. That is way more sensible than we have seen on a lot of road bikes in the past. For what it's worth, just because a rider is really tall doesn't necessarily mean that they have really wide shoulders and therefore need a super wide bar. 42cm for a big tall rider does seem like a good sensible choice here though. There is a possibility that some of this choice in smaller componentry has come from this new idea of smaller, narrower for aero gains. What we like about that, whether it's aero or not, is it is going to get more people on the correct size handlebars, the correct size cranks. There's going to be less pain, less discomfort, more people where they should be on a bike. Aero or not, it's going to get more people riding bikes. Hopefully. Good job, Scott. We would urge anyone buying one of these handlebars to really be cautious about what size you are getting. They cost $600, so if you were to have to replace them because you got it wrong, that's another $600, and what people often forget is the costs, the labor costs associated with actually changing those bars. They'd have to cut the cables, take the shifters off, take the handlebars on, put new ones in, thread them all through, re-bleed everything, put it together. It can be expensive just to change a set of integrated handlebars. So be cautious. Do not throw caution to the wind.
Oi, Giles. This has got a light built into the seat post. What do you think of that?
Yeah, we were just talking because I've just got my bike back from the service. I ran out of the house and obviously didn't bring any lights. And I'm probably going to need them later. But if they're built into your seat post, you never have to think about it apart from charging. So I think that's like a much better way of doing bike integration, where you've actually got something with you you otherwise wouldn't have.
The light is very bright, It has a few different settings so you can have it on flashing or not. And if you don't want it, you can put in the very slightly lighter insert into the seat post and run it as a normal seat post. What was that? I don't know.
Right, market comparison. What other superlight bikes are there? The obvious one is the Specialized Athos. $13,000 for the SRAM Red model and $4,500 for 105 Di2. There are some notable differences, like standard bar and stem with external routing. Potentially it's easier to live with. I know it's a full aero bike, but you could look at the Canyon Air Road. It has 105 Di2 model with carbon wheels for $4,799. Less money, but fair bit heavier at 7.9 kilos. The Trek Emonda SL6 is an option and has similar specs at the same $4,999 price point, but the claimed weight on Trek's website is 8.5 kilograms, significantly more. So the Scott's doing well. It seems to be lightest in its class across the board.
Can I just take a minute to appreciate how good Shimano 105 is now? It's electric, just like Ultegra and Dura Ace. The shifting is buttery smooth. Perhaps there's a difference, but it's barely noticeable between the higher end group sets. And the same for the braking. I mean, the hydraulic discs, as many of you will know, are super powerful, very easy to modulate, and you really don't sacrifice much going from Ultegra down to this. They've done a fantastic job, and I can't see it being labelled mid-range as a group set. That guy just dropped all of his stuff. It's a performance product, and Scott are not doing a disservice by putting it on a frame like this.
Welcome to the Cool Wall, where we decide how cool we think the bike is. We really need to get the printer sorted. When I first saw the documentation come through on this bike, you see the colorways, you see how the bike looks, you see the spec of it, you see how much it weighs. It's exciting, it looks cool, it looks aggressive, it looks like the type of bike you want to jump on and ride real fast. And I like some of the colorways. They're much better than some of the older Scott colorways. There's a white one with a bit of black on it, and I think it's super cool. My first thoughts were, I want it. However, I've not ridden it, so maybe Francis should take this one on from here. Throw him under a bus.
Okay, we did a first look on a Canyon a while back where I got really angry about the Canyon having bottle cages on it. I'll put the clip in. Canyon bottle fits in there, nice and snug. You try and put any other bottle inside the cages. Panda Podium bottle, doesn't fit. Redshift, doesn't fit. Tailfin bottle, doesn't fit. Why? Now you can see why I was so annoyed. In the same vein as the Canyon, this Addict RC, the steerer tube is 27.2 millimeters, which is different to every other bike. It means if you want to upgrade stuff, you have to use their stem and their bars. Officially, I went to Scott and asked them what the official reason was for this, and they said it was to reduce the frontal area of the head tube for aerodynamic gains. I want to put it in the bin, which is the same place we started for the Canyon as well. However, I think this bike deserves some kudos for being the sweet spot in diminishing returns. My sign that I made earlier. It's $5,000, it's a lot of money, but it gets you so far towards that superbike feeling. It's 85% of the way to being a superbike for half of the money. And I think that means we can move it up a little bit. Pretty good.